How to Create a Glitch Monologues Season 38 Chapter 3. This is Season 38 of How to Create a Glitch in the Matrix Monologues Episode 3. In this episode, we will be talking about the different forms of tonic-dominant relationship, while integrating our discussion of progressivism and recidivism. To start off, we have integrated the tonic-dominant relationship into a variety of discussions. But, as of yet, we have not properly elaborated the types or species of tonic-dominant relationships. There are two forms of tonic-dominant relationship. 1. There are tonics created by archetypal alignment linked to dominance. In the splintering, or separation of the plates, the dominant will manifest outward-facing multiplicity in this case. That is to say, that the plates will be segregated to their expressivity, and the manner and kinds of narratives they generate. To reiterate, the plate of the hands, for example, will express some dialectical narrative corresponding to our reactive thoughts, the thoughts which we neither affirm nor negate. The alternative is a tonic created by spatial non-consensuality. This is associated with the generation of inward-facing multiplicity, which is to say that in the separation of the plates, the dominant's multiplicity is subservient to the concealment of their own conscious verbalizations. In other words, in a system dominated by a spatial non-consensual tonic, the dominant's rationalizations are turned inward upon themselves, to the aim of concealment, just as the tonic exists in an irrational space, a non-consensual space. Now, this is important because the non-consensual space of the spatial non-consensual tonic is created by the application of force or enforced territoriality. Which is to say, that the spatial non-consensual tonic exerts their autonomy through the territoriality created by the subliminal recognition of their intentionality. Typically, non-consensual or spatial non-consensual tonics will work with their hands. Their trade typically tends to be something in the labor field. The alternative, an archetypal tonic, is created by the assertion of socially protected status, typically the result of a professional trade. Archetypal tonics create consensual systems, but spatial non-consensual tonics create non-consensual systems. The interplay between these two forms of tonic-dominant relationship is the fundamental dialectic of the recidivist-progressivist ideological conflict. But, interestingly, it is the archetypal tonic which is associated with a feudal view of the system. For through familial, archetypal links, this archetypal territoriality generates consensual spaces rather like a tectonic system. When spatial non-consensuality is the prevailing paradigm, the result is fragmentation of the territoriality of the system, and generation of a fragmented, segmented, mosaic. The rules of non-consensual spaces, the four principles, govern in states where spatial non-consensuality is prevailing. Whereas, in consensual spaces, assertions of archetype are graduated through narrative formation. In other words, there are two orientations to every individual, one created by an orientation to the ideal, and the other created by an orientation to one's spatial dimensionality. Paradoxically, since archetypal tonics generate intergenerational alignments of territoriality, they are the bedrock of what is essentially a feudal system. But they are also the only thing that unifies disparate groups into distinct plates, the alternative being a fragmented segmented mosaic dominated by physical territoriality and the assertion of force. States thus have to make a choice between facilitating a consensual system which is feudal, or facilitating a non-consensual system which is based upon individual assertion of force. The question becomes, where do you set the balance? Do you want the state to be a consensual leviathan with a strong monopoly on force based upon what is essentially a feudal system of territoriality? Or do you wish to fragment it, federalize it? The balance between these two principles elaborates the constitutional framework of a state. That's the end of the podcast for today. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment and subscribe.